So, first, before this presentation, I told you a history. I'm going to tell you a story. Okay? So, first, I wanted to ask you something. What makes you buy or play a video game? What?
A lot of different things. I was going to say, you have The Last of Us up there. That's a game where I was very compelled to buy it because of the story, because I know it kind of pushes the envelope of the narrative.
Exactly.
Sometimes the story.
Sometimes it's a story. So, here is a little fact, that every game tells a story. So, what makes us buy the video game is how good the story is, in most of times. So, in almost every video game, we will find a story or a narration that will explain our actions throughout our adventure. That's why in Super Mario we go through a lot of levels just to save Princess Peach, because it would be pointless otherwise. Okay. So since we see that there is a story, we could consider games are narrations, as texts. And since let's consider them text, then we can study them. And the science in charge of studying text, one of them is narratology, which is the branch of knowledge of criticism that deals with the structure and function of narrative and its themes, conventions, and symbols, from the online Oxford English Dictionary. Okay, so as I told you, every game tells something. There's a narration. And in this presentation, I want to give you some examples of how a game is narrated. How? Because not every game we find the same kind of narration. So in the following minutes, I will show you many games with many types of narration. Let's start with the basic narration. Okay? The basic narration is where the player is given almost no choice. The game presents this narration, and the only way the player can, or the gamer can go is onwards until the end. It's like in Super Mario. Super Mario, you could always go to the right, and you never could go back. So let me show you an example. Nope.
How this part of the world gets so moved up all the time? I just work here, Dave. They were investigating a lead on a possible chem weapons site in grid 80. For now, you're the only element I've got to send. Jackson's last known position was Spinza Meat Market, and they're in a bad part of town. That's a quick trigger, boys. We're like 90 clicks from a major fault line. Not a single cent. I don't like this shit. Gun! Sniper! Pop and smoke! RPG! Mark 12! Second floor!
So this can be taken as an example of basic narration. We can see through the whole video the message follow. The player's only choice is to follow the leader of the squadron, in this case, to its objectives. We may see a lot of doors, a lot of corridors, a lot of streets, but there's only one to follow. So, but not every game is like this. So let me tell you about the point-and-click narration. Name them. These are some games that you are given some choices, and the game changes depending on which choices you choose from. The interesting feature here is that you know you are making a choice. So, and as you will see, the story changes. Let me just give you an example.
If I give you this, will you let me sleep? Yeah, all right. Probably.
So, here we see that we are given two choices. In other cases, there will be more. And the game will change completely if we get this pig the drink or if we take it. And throughout the game, we may see different endings with different stories depending on our choices. And for example, this game is one of the best examples. You may know others like Monkey Island, another good example. So these are what they are called point-and-click narration, and the narration is given to the player, and the player chooses how he wants to go through that narration. But he knows that he has a choice. There are other cases like this, like Beyond Two Souls, which we can say that there is a narration with no apparent player involvement. In these cases, there are some points in the game where we know we are given a choice between A, B, or C. But there are other cases in which we don't know if we have a choice either to go left or right, because the game tells us nothing about it. Let me just give you an example here.
Dying like a dog in the street. Understand? What's your name?
Jody.
Welcome back to the land of living, Jody. Nice to have some company from this little island. Some coffee? Strong? Tastes like shit, but hold you up against the cold. Careful's hot. How long you been on the streets, kid?
So in this case, we know we are given a choice.
Oh, just like a few days.
Really? Look pretty beat up if somebody's only been out here a few days.
Okay. So we see that in some cases we are given a choice, but throughout this short clip, the player may have do a lot of things, like slightly move the controller, and it would change the game. Maybe not take that cab, even though we were given a choice there. But anything the player does without thinking involves the game. And that's, for example, why this game is frustrating for a lot of people, because they don't know what to do. It's like more like a movie than like a $60 movie than a video game. Okay. Then, so in all the previous cases, we have text that allow us to know what we are doing. But there are now some games that we could consider as visual narration. We are given no text. It's what we see that tell us what we have to do, or the point in our journey throughout the game. And I think that this game, Journey, by that game company, is the best example. And let me give you just...
Peggy 7.
So, in this game, we see that we don't have any text. We only see that there's a light on the top of the mountain, and we suppose that we have to go there. For example, so there's no text at all. We just see a light, and we figure out that we have to go there for no reason. We also see, for example, another player, another character like this. We know nothing about this character. It's only someone in the desert walking. And for example, as I said, we see another different player. The funny thing about this game is that another player is maybe someone connected to the game in another part of the world. But the funny thing is that you cannot talk to him or to her. You know who is behind that character. You cannot interact with him in any way that involves talking or writing or anything. You just have to figure out how to communicate and to get to the mountain. So we see a visual narration here. Okay. And let's jump to the next narration. And in some games we find what we call the co-narration. Co-narration in which way? That there is a narration provided by the game, by the developer, and another narration provided by the players. For example, in this game, you can do practically whatever you want. You can follow the main quest line to reach the end, or to go to another city and do another quest, or go to a castle atop a mountain that wasn't on the game, but some player uploaded into the game with the use of mods, as I told you in my previous presentation about the history. So let me give you like an example. This is the actual footage from the player. Okay. So this is, where is it? Here. Audio. Just let's hear the music. Okay. So this is me in the player, in the game. I'm riding my horse, and this is the world. So I could go anywhere. I could go follow this quest line here, and to find someone's lost items, or to kill someone because the guild of assassins asked me to. Or I could just go to my farm and collect my potatoes, or to raise a kid, or to find a wife, or to go to Hobbiton, which was not in the game but was implemented by someone who uploaded a mod, and I decided to download it. So we are given complete freedom to narrate our own story throughout the game. So we see a co-narration between the community and the game and the developers. So work. Okay. So oh my. Oh my, no. ¿Por qué? Wait a second. The problems of the direct. Okay, now. Sorry. Okay, so co-narration between the gamer and the game. And going like similar to this, we have the what we can call the MMO narration, the multiplayer online game narration. In these games, we can only go through the narration with the help of other players. We cannot alone. We cannot finish the game. And once the community has reached certain level in the narration, then we unlock the next step. But if I by myself reach that point, I will never unlock the next step in the story of the game. And for example, let me give you like one of the latest chapters of the narration in World of Warcraft.
Pandaria, her hills of gold, in dark and mournful times of old, did once a hopeless horror hold. When from her sacred veil did spring, with storm and flash, a monstrous thing, his name Lei Shen, the Thunder King. His thunder boomed across the land, and none who dared and fought could stand against the Iron Tyrant's hands. A palace grand, a walled domain, such mighty works born of his reign, built by slaves, their hearts in chains. But seasons change and tyrants die, his fury spent in times gone by. The thunder slept beneath Kunai. Secure the remains, brothers. By Sandalari hands, he has been taken. By Sandalari voice, he has awakened.
Okay, so as we have seen here, we are presented with a new bad guy we have to kill, but it is not so easy. First, we have to siege the island where this new Thunder King is waiting. But it's not so easy. You cannot invade an island with only one soldier. So the whole community has first to gather some sources and then invade the island, which is not quite easy. And once we have invaded the island, we have to kill the bad guy, which is not, you cannot do alone as well. So you have the help, you need the help of the other players. And once we have killed this new guy, then we will go to the next level. But we need the power of the community to achieve so. So MMO narration. Oh, sorry. And then let me give you last two examples, which are quite characteristic, just to finish. So here we have the anti-narration. This game, I love this game. It's a game where we are the player and we are giving a narration, but the game knows that it is a game. So the game makes fun of the game and its narration. So just, sorry. Let me just play it quickly. So
This is the story of a man named Stanley. Stanley worked for a company in a big building where he was employee number 427. Employee number 427's job was simple. He sat at his desk in room 427 and he pushed buttons on the keyboard. Orders came to him through a monitor on his desk, telling him what buttons to push, how long to push them, and in what order. This is what employee 427 did every day, every month, of every year. And although others might have considered it soul-winning, Stanley relished every moment that the orders came in, as though he had been made exactly for this job. And Stanley was happy. And then one day, something very peculiar happened. Something that would forever change Stanley. Something he would never quite forget. He had been at his desk for nearly an hour when he realized that not one single order had arrived on the monitor for him to follow. No one had showed up to give him instructions, call a meeting, or even say hi. Never in all his years at the company had this happened, this complete isolation. Something was very clearly wrong. Shocked, frozen solid, Stanley found himself unable to move for the longest time. But as he came to his wits and regained his senses, he got up from his desk and stepped out of his office. All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo. No matter how hard Stanley looked, he couldn't find a trace of his co-workers.
Okay. So here we see how first the video game makes fun of video games. Like when he says that the only thing that Stanley could do is pushing buttons at which buttons he was told to push. Okay. So in this game, for example, now the narrator tell us to go to the meeting room. But if we don't go to any meeting room, the narrator will make fun of us. That's why it is called anti-narration. We go against the narration, and the narration makes fun of us and knows that we are screwing with him. Okay. And just like one final example is the no narration. This is an extraordinary example. The game Flower. We have no narration, no story, nothing. This is what the game is about. And so, unlike in Journey, where we had the mountaintop with the light that more or less pointed us the destiny, here we have nothing. We just have a petal going through the wind. We don't know why. We don't know what we have to do. So there's no narration, no story, nothing. It's like a visual experiment in this case. So as you can see, we can treat video games as texts, and this is only some few examples of the different ways to narrate a game, but there are many more. So if you have any question? Nope. Okay. Well, thank you for your patience.